All right, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Rakaga Bar. I'm back at you again with another lesson, as you can see, entitled Understanding the Symbolism of Hills and Mountains in the Scriptures. All right. Now, before I jump into this lesson, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Wahab Rakakadash. All right, Lord's will in this lesson is edifying and to the point. Okay. I'm going ahead and jump right into it. All right. Going into the understanding, all right, of what hills and mountains mean symbolically oftentimes in the scriptures. All right. Because when you read through books like Revelations, all right, Daniel, okay, oftentimes the different interpretations, or the different visions that the prophet received, okay, they'll use a lot of similitudes, okay, or symbolism, all right, for what, is being interpreted, okay, for what has been interpreted, okay. So what I want to go over in this lesson, all right, is when the scriptures refer to mountains or hills, okay, what that actually means symbolically, okay. Now what you see in front of you, all right, which a few of you brothers and sisters may know, all right, these represent the Hokage, okay. Now the Hokage, all right, are the top leaders, all right, or the figureheads, all right, of the nation, okay, during whatever, time period that they lived in, all right. And you see these figureheads, okay, are engraved in this mountain, okay. Essentially, that's what that is, all right. They're engraved in that mountain, okay. Now, the reason I'm grabbing this picture, okay, because we're going to see, all right, how, this fits right along with what mountains and hills represent in the scriptures, okay. These, figureheads, all right, or leaders, okay, of their nation, right, of their kingdom, okay, their empire, whatever you want to call it, okay, this fits right along with the scriptures, okay. So I'm starting off, we're going to head and jump in Revelations, chapter 17, starting at verse 3, okay. Now, this was a vision that the Apostle John had received when he was on the island of Patmos, all right. Verse 3, it says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness." It says, "And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." Okay. And I'm not going to fully go into that breakdown, all right, of the entire chapter, but a quick rundown of what this is. Okay. That scarlet beast, okay, which scarlet represents wickedness or sin, okay. That scarlet beast with 7 heads, all right, represent these Edomites' different rulerships, okay. The 7 heads are, okay, when you go into it, all right, represent the Greeks, all right, Germanic Major, Germanic Minor, all right, Romans, all right, the Spanish, the French, and the British, okay. Those are the 7 heads of this dragon. Okay, and those 10 horns, okay, when you go into Daniel 2, all right, you go at the bottom of that statue, the 10 horns, okay, in Revelations are the 10 kings spoken of in Daniel, okay, the 2nd chapter, all right, which ultimately those 10 horns represent NATO, okay, those European nations that are aligned with America, as you read in Revelation 17, okay, and the whore that is on top of that dragon, okay, as we know, is America. Okay, the whore represents America. All right, but that's just a quick rundown of it. All right, which I did, a lesson touching on those horns. Okay, and kind of going into that. Okay, more in depth. All right, but it says, "And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy. All right, having 7 heads and 10 horns." Okay. So we're going to skip down, okay, when the angel starts, interpreting, or when he starts getting the interpretation of the dream or the vision, okay. Verse 9, it says, "And here is the mind with which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth." Okay, so those 7 heads were the 7 different kingdoms, all right, that these Edomites ruled over, okay? When these Edomites were in rulership, okay, it says, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Now, when you keep reading down, okay, it tells you how there are 7 kings, okay? And what does a king rule over? Okay, a king has their kingdom, okay, or their empire that they reign over, okay? So those mountains, as we're going to see, okay, represents the figureheads, okay, those who are in charge, okay, the government body, all right, the rulers of whatever kingdom that is, all right, and that's why I grabbed this picture, okay, because you have in a Leaf village, the Hokage is what the top leader is called, all right. What do? Okay, they govern, all right, and rule over their kingdom, okay, or their village, all right, all right. And, leaving off from there, okay, as we come to find out, all right, in Daniel 2, okay, as well as in Revelations 17th chapter, all right, that we were kind of touching on, all right, these 10 horns, okay, receive power with the whore, okay? So those 10 horns, which I said represents NATO, okay, they receive power with the whore, okay? And you can read that also in Daniel 2, okay, down at the bottom, all right? They give their power to America, okay? They're in a political and military alliance, okay? When you go into NATO, that's what it represents, all right? It's a treaty between America, Canada, and those different European nations, okay? So they're the ones, the Edomites, all right, who have the top rule on this earth right now, okay? When you go into scripture, all right, Genesis 27, all right, you come to find out that the only 2 nations blessed with the entire dominion and rule, okay, over the earth, all right, was the nation of Edom, okay, Esau, and the nation of Israel, okay, Jacob, all right. That's why when you read 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, it tells you Esau's the end of the world, okay, the end of an age, and Jacob is the beginning of him that followeth, okay. These are the 2 nations that will be given the complete dominion and top rule, all right, on the earth, okay. And we're living in the times where we're at the bottom of that statue, okay, in Daniel 2, all right, where in this final kingdom, heathen kingdom, is set to be destroyed, okay, and that's what I went over in the previous lesson, all right. But going back, okay, currently, all right, these devils have what they call G7 meetings, okay, or G7 summits, okay. Now, when you go into the G7 summit and what that actually means, all right, it's when these world leaders get together, okay, of the 7 most advanced economies, right? It says the G7 summit is the annual meeting of the group of 7 leaders, right? It's hosted by the G7 president for that year. The summit doesn't have any legal or political authority, but when these 7 world leaders agree on something, it has the power to shift the direction of global economic growth. Okay, so these are the figureheads, the powerhouses, all right, the elites, okay, of these different nations, all right. And now when I go into, okay, the G7 summit, okay, you're going to see that, you're going to see that 6 out of the 7 leaders, all right, are all European nations, okay. Well, 5 of them are European nations, okay, and then you have America, all right, and then you have Japan, okay. But you kind of find out that 6 out of the 7 are also a part of NATO, okay. Now, do you think that's coincidence, okay, that some of the 10 horns, all right, and the whore, okay, are the ones who come together, all right, in these G7 meetings, okay, and discuss major global events, all right? It's no coincidence, okay? This just because they're the ones who have the power on this earth right now, all right? But real quick, okay, when you go into that word summit, okay, which is spiritual, it actually goes into the highest point of a hill or mountain, okay? The highest point of a hill or mountain. Okay, so when they have these G7 summits, okay, these meetings, right, these elites, these world leaders from those nations come together, all right, to discuss different things. Okay, it says a meeting between heads of a government. Okay, that's why I grabbed this picture. Okay, and when you go in Naruto as well, all right, when there's whenever the fourth great ninja war was about to happen, okay, and whenever some major global thing is about to happen, okay, there are different Kage for each different nation. Okay, you have the Hokage of the Leaf Village, right? You have the Tsukage, all right. You have the Raikage, okay, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the same parallels we see in real life. Okay, these figureheads of these nations come together to discuss various things. Okay, it says a meeting between heads of government. All right, but that was spiritual. Okay, because it says when they have these summit meetings. All right, you go into the word summit goes into the highest point of a hill or mountain. Okay, so these are the leaders of their various kingdoms. Okay, all right. It says, what is the G7 and when is the meeting? All right. The G7 group of seven is an organization of the world's seven largest so-called advanced economies. They are Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the United States. All right. Now, like I said, what you find out is that among the seven, six of those are also a part of NATO. Okay. Obviously excluding Japan, okay, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, UK, and the US are all a part of NATO, okay? These are the Edomites, okay, who had a power on this earth right now, okay, pulling the strings, okay? These are they, okay, the ones who are at the top, all right, of the summit, okay, the ones who, have the Mount of Esau, okay, is essentially what it's called, which I'm going to grab a scripture, all right? The Mount of Esau, okay? That's what all these Edomites are, okay? And their elites go into making up the Mount of Esau, the top, okay, of their nation, all right? This is Obadiah chapter 1 and 21. It says, and saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, okay? So who would the Mount Zion be, okay? Zion representing the Israelites, okay? The top elites, all right, or elect of the Israelites will be the 144,000, okay, which I'm gonna grab a precept, all right. But the top of the nation of Israel will be the 144,000 under Yahweh Shah. It says to judge the Mount of Esau, okay, these Edomites, all right. Who's the Mount of Esau? Okay, this will represent the elites, all right, the Illuminati enlightened ones on the left, okay, the Rockefellers, right, the Rothschilds, okay, so on and so forth. All right. And we're judging these devils. OK, this is what the men of the Lord are doing. All right. Speaking down their kingdom. OK, and the Most High is making this deal happen. It says, and the kingdom shall be Yahweh's. OK. All right. So going back. Let's see here. Skip down. It says, what does the G7 do? All right. It says throughout the year, ministers and officials from the member countries hold meetings, form agreements, and publish joint statements on global events. All right. It says the main event is when G7 leaders come together to talk about the biggest issues of the day. OK, so these are what these elites do. All right. And what you find out is that 6 of the 7, which, that's spiritual as well, because out of the 7, 6 are a part of NATO, and we understand 6 to be the number of the beast, right? But these are they, okay? These are they, excluding Japan, okay? These are all European nations aligned with the U.S., okay? And you read about that in Revelation 17, okay? The 10 horns that gave their power to the beast, to America, right? Okay? So yeah, leaving off, all right, leaving off there, okay, we come to find out that what those mountains and hills represent, okay, governments or kingdoms, okay. This is Isaiah 2 and 2. It says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, all right, these times that we're living in now, okay, when you go into Daniel 2, all right, going into that statue, well, at the bottom of that statue, it tells you how these devils are ruling, okay, ultimately the Mount of Esau. Okay, and it tells you how the Mount of Esau is going to be destroyed, okay, by a stone, okay, which represents Yahweh Shah. Okay, he's that chief cornerstone, okay, as well as the men of the Lord, okay, the elect. It shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Okay. So yeah, the the government, the kingdom, all right, of the Israelites is going to be the top kingdom that has ever been on the face of existence. All right. So when we get in rulership, okay, there's going to be no other powers. Okay, there's going to be no other world powers. All right, there's not going to be no one alongside us. Okay, it's just going to be us. Okay, we're going to be the top mountain, the top government. Okay, it says, and all nations shall flow unto it. Okay, now you keep reading. Okay, this goes in a future prophecy. Okay, how in the kingdom, our kingdom, okay, yeah, these nations are going to come to us. Okay, trying to learn of our ways, right? Trying to learn the law. Okay, because Scripture tells you the law is going to stem forth out of Zion. Okay, we're going to be the ones enforcing our law. Okay, because what do they and those who have the power do? Okay, they push out their laws, legislation. Okay, how they want things to be ran and set up. That's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, the mountain of Yahweh's house. Okay, the Scripture tells you, all right, we understand the house, the Most High's house is the house of Israel. Okay, all 12 tribes. But the mountain of that house would be the summit, right? The top of it, okay, which would be the 144,000 along with Yahweh Shah. Okay. All right. This is Revelation 14:1. It says, and I looked, and lo, a lamb, Yahweh Shah, stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their foreheads. Okay. So these are going to be the 144,000 who are going to receive thrones and rule, okay, alongside Yahweh Shah. Okay, that's going to be the mountain in the kingdom to come. Okay, the governing body, the government, okay, the mountain, right? All right. And finishing off, okay, Daniel 2:44, okay, going to tell us the same thing we just read about in Isaiah 2. Okay, it's concerning these mountain, all right, how the mountain of Yahweh's house is going to be established in the top, right? The nation of Israel, okay? It's going to say the same thing, okay? And this is at the bottom of that statue, okay, in Daniel 2, right? This is when that stone destroys, this final heathen kingdom, okay? America and NATO ultimately, right? And establishes the kingdom of heaven, all right? It says, and in the days of these kings, okay, that we just went over, okay, America, NATO, right? It says, shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Okay, so this kingdom, all right, under the Israelites, okay, unlike all these other kingdoms, okay, that rise and fall, okay, this kingdom will never be destroyed. Okay, it's never going to go away. It's never going to be destroyed. It's going to be established forever, right? It says, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Okay, now Scripture tells you, right, how this current kingdom, right, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, this kingdom is translated from one people to another. Okay, so it's going to go from Esau, right, the Mount of Esau, to the Mount of Zion, okay, to the Israelites. Okay, but our kingdom, since we're going to be completely righteous, it's not going to be given away to nobody. All right. It says, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. Okay. And it shall stand forever. All right. So, yeah, it says it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. OK, that's the same thing we just read about in Isaiah. OK, how the mountain of Yahweh, right, is going to be above all those other mountains and hills. OK, it's going to be established, OK, on the top. All right. And it says, and it shall stand forever. OK, that's the point. All right. That's the point. All right. Okay, how mountains and hills in the scriptures, right, represent the government, okay, or the kingdom, okay, and that's pretty much the point, okay. And the point is that the mountain of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah, okay, which is the kingdom of heaven, which ultimately is the kingdom of the Israelites, okay, starting with Yahweh Shah and his governing body, the Mount Zion, all right, is going to be on the top of all these other nations, okay, on the face of the earth. Okay, and that is the point. All right. We're going to be the ones pushing out our law. OK, our decrees, and it's all going to be righteous. OK, so it's all going to be righteous. OK, People are going to rejoice. The scripture tells you when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Okay. Everything's going to be set up, perfectly. Everything's going to be established, just. All right. We're going to be judging these people, okay, according to our law. All right. But nonetheless, okay, we're going to be established forever. All right. We're going to be established forever. All right. So I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Wahawer Kakadash. I want to say Shalom.